Hi, besties. Welcome back. We have so much tea for you. Juicy, juicy tea because we have a special guest. Maddie is here. Maddie is a full-time content creator. She has YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the fun stuff. And we actually met at HHN. We met up, and then ever since then, we hit it off, and we've been friends ever since. So, Maddie, you want to shout out your platforms?
Yeah, I do all of them. And it's just all across the board. It's the Maddie vlog.
So we know you're new to the Orlando content creator scene and you have so much experience with LA. So we want to know, in your perspective, what's the difference between Orlando and LA? And if you had to pick one, which one would you go with?
I've said since day 2 of being here, if I had the option, I would be back in LA in a heartbeat. I think and I'm just going to be very honest because that's the type of person I am. The Orlando influencer scene is the most toxic environment I've ever been in. And I told you this, like I've said since I met you, I'm like, I want to go back to LA, but unfortunately this is where our family wants to be. But everyone in LA is just so welcoming. Like you go and hold a camera. I could go up to anyone vlogging and be like, oh my God, you're vlogging. Let's vlog together. Like we're at the pier. Like you want to make a TikTok? Or like if someone was doing a TikTok dance, I could jump into that TikTok dance and then cool. Like, it doesn't matter. Numbers and followers are just a number and it doesn't define you. And actually, I feel like everyone's out there chasing their dreams. And it's kind of like an unspoken rule that you just support each other. Yes, there's pettiness wherever you go. Yes, people are going to backstab. But in general, I think I can go out to anyone with a camera and start a conversation and be like, I'm a vlogger too. Let's do this. Not necessarily assume that they're going to post me, but I was here less than 48 hours and I met 6 influencers at Disney, all at different parks. And I thought, maybe it's the same scene. I really, really wanted to put myself out there. Every single one of them was snarky, condescending, or thought I was fangirling over them, when in reality, I was just trying to start a conversation that was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this too. Let's go explore the parks because I'm here alone. And it turned into a contest of I don't expect anyone to recognize me. I don't expect anyone to think it's a privilege to be on my content. But what I do expect is just genuine kindness. If you don't want to do anything, that's fine. Just hi. But it was how many followers do you have? What do you do? Are you a Disney content creator? Are you this? Are you that? And it was when I would walk up to them, they'd question me. And I was like, this is wild. And I was like, okay, the first 2 times it happened, didn't really think anything of it. It happened at Epcot. And then I was on the tram to Epcot to Magic Kingdom. And I saw someone with a camera. And it's a big camera like I have. And I was like, oh my gosh. Sometimes I kind of judge if they take it seriously by the equipment they have. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, you have an A7C. I have an A7C. That's my intro to a conversation. And this person just looked at me and I was like, oh my gosh, I have the same camera. And they just went, and I was just like, oh,
what?
Okay. And then I was like, are you going to Magic Kingdom? Because that's where I'm going. And I kid you not, he looks at me and goes, well, where else would I be going? And I look at him and I go, I don't know, the transportation center where we have to get off. And so then I was like, this is really awkward. Then I turn around and I realized the whole tram is full of influencers. And honestly, I was just listening to them. They all just started bashing other creators that I had known of and at this point not known. But it was gossip central and no one was talking nice about each other. And that was my first impression. And that was wild. And I remember even at HHM when I met you, I had come the previous night with a different group that I was supposed to meet up with. And all they were doing was fighting and catfighting over who had more followers. Why isn't someone? It was a whole thing. So it's just, I don't know. I'm on a tangent, but LA, everyone's more welcoming. Here, I think people, it's a contest instead of a welcoming, let's work together. Also, I feel for me, coming in with a larger size following, people took it as I was coming in on their territory when I was coming in as, oh my gosh, let's be friends and let's go have a great time at the park. And I think that's where I got so butthurt, was I had different intentions, but they don't see it like that.
So do you think that it's harder to make friends here than in LA?
100%. I don't think anyone in Orlando, unless you have met them outside of content's actually friends. And if they are, then it's because they've taken that time outside of it to really connect. I don't think you can walk up to a Disney person or just anyone in Orlando, because this happened at the Orlando Eye too. I walked up to someone. I don't think you can just walk up to someone and just connect with them like you can out in California, which is bizarre because LA is known for dreams.
That's so crazy because I feel like anytime I'm on TikTok and I see people talking about LA content creators, it's the opposite. I feel like people are always saying like, "Oh, it's so snarky and it's all about followers," but maybe that's just a really select few. And then Orlando just it does
Also,
feel like everyone's
party.
beating. Yeah,
Parties, there were several parties in LA where, I mean, you've probably seen it on TikTok where it said 1 million followers this way, under 1 million this way. That was pretty common, but I think that's stupid as well. But I just didn't put myself in the party scene out there. But I did feel like when the few influencers I met at California Adventure, they were great. Everyone was just kind. And I don't know, I honestly also put it in a perspective. I think California people are just nicer in general. They live a fast-paced life, but also there's so many people. They're a little more like calm and like understanding. Whereas out here, we're all misplants coming from a different place, and I think that also plays a part of it.
for sure. Yeah.
What's your biggest content creator pet peeve?
Follow count. I don't care how many followers you have. Like, you could have 2 followers and I'm going to hype you up and I'm going to be your friend. I don't need you to walk up and be like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so and I have 500,000 followers." Okay? I don't care. I'm not
Why does
basing
it
our
matter?
friendship off of how many people watch your content. I'm basing our friendship off of if you're a good person and we like click. That's my biggest pet peeve. And it happens all the time here. It happened tonight. I was at Epcot and it happened. And someone like came up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we watch your content." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." Like, whatever. Like, appreciating them. And they're like, "Well, I'm so-and-so and I have about 14,000 followers." And I'm like, I don't care. You're just so sweet. Like, why do we have to throw that out? I don't go, "Hi, I'm Maddie and I have like over 1 million of followers." Like, that is my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, that's crazy. I will say when I moved here, I made like literally all the friends that I have now, I made through Instagram and TikTok, and I love them to death. And none of the friends that I decided to keep care about your follower count. Like, we're all supportive. We'll all go film content, but then we'll also go hang out and not film content. So I feel like there's definitely people here that are not focused on content and follower and stuff, but it's interesting to see like your outside coming in perspective, whereas like we're Floridians and then we moved to Orlando, but we're still local, I guess. So it's really interesting.
And I think you said it really good the other day. You're like, you always put yourself in these situations. And I really do, though, because I'm so used to being able to just going up to someone and being like, "Oh my gosh, you're filming, I'm filming. Let's go film together and have fun in the parks." And that's just not the vibe here. And I think, after 8 or 9, 10 times of having it happen, I think I've learned my lesson. But I think that is one thing is when you try to put yourself out in an area that you've done previously and it's worked, adjusting to how it is down here is different and takes time. And I'm not saying all the creators are bad down here because they're genuinely not. I've met some great ones, but it's the ones who you go up to or the ones you've watched for years. Like, the biggest thing people say is your idols until you meet them. And I think that's definitely changed my perspective because a lot of these guys I've watched before I even started social media. But like you said, I met you guys. I met you on Universal Halloween Horror Nights TikTok. I met all of my friends on TikTok. I met my wife on TikTok. So I don't think it's like bad down here. I just think it's a different scene of where in LA people are used to being cheerleaders, and down here everyone views it as competition. And I do know that one of the reasons we came down here is because Universal and Disney are opening so much that is what everyone is focused on, is getting those invites. And until they do, you are competition. And I'm pretty sure that's just the mindset right now of everyone is it's an oversaturated field and it is competition. And until you break through that competition wall with them, you're not a friend, you're competition. And that's
No, I agree. Like
different.
maybe a year ago, I was at Epcot and I was walking around with my camera by myself, and I saw another girly pop across the way at Epcot walking around with her camera. And so I'm not type A enough to walk up and say something, but I looked at her and I gave her a smile, like, I acknowledge that you're doing what I'm doing. We're doing this together. And she straight up looked at me and gave me the nastiest look. And I was like, I literally audio messaged my friends and I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because everybody's competing here, even though that is so dumb because the internet is so big. We can all have the same followers. People can follow multiple people. That is how that works. And I'm like, we all have to compete for stuff.
Well, I also think it's important to like celebrate friends' milestones too. And like, I remember when we were at Halloween Horror Nights, that's not my scene. I'm not going to get recognized, but you were getting it. And it was so important to me as a friend to recognize like that milestone for you. And I feel like, honestly, the reason I knew to do that was because that's what my friends did in California. I feel like we need to just sprinkle that kind of energy down here.
Yeah. I also feel like you have a pretty unique experience too because you do have that bigger following. So I'm sure, not that you want this, but that you're attracting the people that do want to be social climbers because they see you, they see that number, and they're like, wait, I need to get on your accounts because if you tag me, like, I'll get all the followers, which, first of all, that's not even how that
It
works.
never happens. No
That
matter, I could have a video with 20 million views and I could tag you and that's not how it works. And
no.
but I'm also tag friendly. Like when this new collab feature came out, where if I post it goes on your page, I use it like hot candy. Whoever I'm with, I don't care. Like I'll tag you. But there's also been a couple instances where it was wild. I was invited to an event and it was this whole thing of if I was going to tag them, if we were going to film them. And I'm very cautious about who I put on my platform because this is something I have dedicated my whole life to. So I want to know who you are as a person outside of content. And usually, the first time I meet you, I'm not going to tag you because why should that dictate a friendship? And it was this whole thing about I wasn't going to tag them, so they were uninviting me. And like, to me, that's just so silly because our friendship should be further than our jobs. And so it's a lot. And I've heard that a lot. I mean, it's not just me. Like there's friends I have who my friend group and for social media, they had a whole thing. It was like right when I first started social media, we all had like 5,000 followers. We created a content house. It was the gay content house. It was a wild story. But everyone got mad because no one was tagging each other. And it's just like friendships beyond that. My friendship with everyone means more than a tag.
Yeah, you shouldn't be breaking up a friendship for a tag or for some followers or for some views or whatever it is. It's not that serious.
No. And I think at the end of the day, one thing that people really need to understand is I don't even consider myself a big creator. I know that might be silly to you guys or to anyone, but like a big creator to me is Charlie, not me. And so I think that whatever size you are, it's important to recognize people who don't have as many followers as you, because I think people forget that we were once in the same spot you were, and everyone has a starting point. I have a screenshot of my account hitting 100 followers and I got a cake. Everyone starts somewhere, and I'm the first one. I met someone the other night at Epcot and sat down with them for 2 hours, completely wrote them a social media outline and set their socials up, and was like, no one had that help when I needed it. And so not always is it a fight to the top. Like we recognize where you're at. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, I'm not trying to take over your niche. I have radiating ADHD. I'm going to be at Universal one day, and the next day I'm going to be painting Bluey on my kids' shoes. Like, so it's just very different.
Yeah, and like Timea said earlier, the internet is huge. There's space for everyone. As long as you're unique and doing your own thing, people are going to want to watch you. So I don't know why.
Your HHN stuff and my HHN stuff was drastically different. And I think
Very
that just
different.
shows, there's two different people, and you can share the same footage, but it's going to be edited and put together completely different.
Yeah, I agree. But you did also tell me you have some story time that you wanted to talk about.
So there was an event that I went to a couple weeks ago, and we were super excited to go. It was a weird vibe. So we have the Melrose Trading Post in LA. Everyone goes. Everyone makes content. And I'm going to compare the two stories. So I was there with my friends, and we were filming a TikTok, and the vendors were holding the stuff up, and they're like, oh my gosh. And they're holding it up, and they're interacting with you. And then there were tons of creators walking around. And I guess if someone were to go in the perspective of LA and film, the world keeps moving, right? No one really bats an eye. Everyone keeps moving. You don't really make a scene. And I went to this event, and it was just a show. And it was so uncomfortable. And we ended up leaving because it was a lot of side eyes. It was a lot of attention grabbing. It was uncomfortable, to say the least. We got there, and Lauren was just we were there maybe 10 minutes. We had paid for everything, and we're just going to dip. It just makes me sad because I feel like down here, there's so many creators, and you guys could be a powerhouse, but no one wants to cheer each other on. They'd rather, as in the TV world, you sleep your way up. I feel like here they climb their way up. They find who the next influencer is that's bigger than them. They get close, they get on their page, and then they friend hop, and it's different. And so those two events, going from one where everyone just kind of oh, she's filming, they pass by, where it was oh, she's filming, huge scene, just different different types of vibes.
So were you getting looks for filming, or was it that everyone was competing to try to film
It was
like the same
competing.
things?
It was competing. And it's even happened, like, if we sat back tonight, we really didn't like film at Epcot, but we sat back and we watched and we saw people film, and then we wait 10 minutes and we watch the other people film but do something bigger. And like, why not, in my eyes, why not go up to them and be like, oh my God, let's do this together? Or like, I don't know, because you can see from a distance the competition just raging. And I am the most competitive person you've ever met. I will win anything. Like, I will win. I will do the best I can do. But why not be the friend that someone needs and work on it together, or, you know, hype each other up at least? Because I will say there were 2 creators there tonight who are really good people. And one of them is paging Mr. Morrow. And I think more people need to be like him, because tonight I watched him interact with people, and the way he came off so genuine. If every creator in Orlando was like Mr. Morrow, I think this area would be a lot more of a positive environment. And Mr.
We need
Morrow,
to make him bigger.
Yes, and he is a lot. Like, if you ask me to describe how these LA creators in these big areas are that at least I've met, I would say they're like Morrow. And I feel like that's the energy we need down here.
Yeah, I feel like with Disney events especially, it's always that rush to be the first person to post and get the content up first. But like you said, it doesn't need to be that way.
Well, and how if we all 3 could show up, if the castle is on fire and all 3 of us are running to the castle filming the fire, all 3 of us are going to have different hooks, angles, and filming and editing. And I think that's what makes every creator special. And instead of trying to tear that person down and me like tackle you, Shaneck, so I can get the better shot, why not just comment and hype it up and be happy that we all got it?
Yeah, truly.
It's dumb.
I mean, the amount of times Timea and I go and film the same thing and have completely different videos, and we'll send each other the same clips to use, and it's still completely different. So
we did a thing tonight where we filmed 100 videos, and I just sent it to the group, and I was like, here are all the videos I have. Use them if you want, because why not?
Yeah, because everyone has their different personality and different editing style. So if someone likes that type of style,
I'm pretty sure we both posted that day that the Dexcom came out of my leg. Like, the needle was actively sticking out, and like, that's another great example. 2 different videos, drastically edited differently, both did well.
That it's great. It's so interesting to hear. Like, we're gonna keep saying that, but like, it's so
that's why I
interesting
keep
to hear,
saying
like,
I want you guys to go to
perspective.
VidCon. I want you to see an environment where people can have a camera, and next thing you know, you've got 20 new best friends sitting by you. Now, are they going to be the most genuine friends and you take them to your like grave? Probably not. You'll probably walk away with 1 or 2 really good ones. But in that moment, you meet people, and it's just, you relate, but you relate on a basis of numbers don't count. Never once in LA, when I've not been at like an event, when I've been like out in public, have I been asked my follow count, or have I gotten looks like I'm competition. And that's why I want you guys to go so bad. It's so much fun.
And that's wild. And you would think that there's, well, not that you think, but there is more competition in LA because everyone's over there to do the same thing. Whereas over here, at least you have, I feel like, a little more variety of people either wanting to do either lifestyle or Orlando in general content, or theme park specific, or a mix. But in LA, I feel like, and also not everybody in Orlando is trying to be a content creator, where I feel like in LA, there's probably a larger population of people that are trying to be content creators or actors or whatever.
Well, and I think what's also weird is like, here, I know so much tea on everyone because everyone shit talks each other. And it's not even hidden. Like that day on the tram, I was hearing names that I knew from FYP, and I was just listening, and then like just meeting people. They'll like spill everything about someone that you've seen or you've talked to or you've met. Whereas out there, I've never heard, like, I mean, people are going to talk. You know out there who the good people are, who the bad people are, you know, who has controversy, who has trouble. But, like, it's kind of kept into, like, friend groups. But also, I think out there, the difference is someone's always bigger and better than you. And here is, like, a very tight-knit community. And I'm not just doing Disney influencers, like, all influencers here. Like, there's going to be someone that has, like, 10 million followers. They're going to lead the pack. But, like, there's a bunch that, like, single-handedly. You go to LA, you've got all those actors with millions of followers. You got the Kardashians. You got everyone. So I think everyone's a little more humble out there because they know, like, oh, my God, like, I have 1 million followers. Well, that person walking across the street probably has 10 million followers. And it's just not a conversation.
Yeah, you definitely meet more people here who it goes to their head very fast.
Yeah. And to me, there's no point because we all start somewhere.
And I feel like here people grow at such different paces too. So it's like, who knows? You might be meeting someone with less followers than you today, but tomorrow they might have doubles. Why are we putting so much weight on that number? Like, let's just move on and be nice and actually be friends. And let's hang out at some point without a camera and just get to know each other.
Exactly. And honestly, like there was a point when I think I had just moved here and I was trying to like make friends and I was in people's comment sections. I know you saw my comment. Don't answer. That's fine. But I was actively reaching out in DMs and being like, hey, I'm Maddie. I just moved here. I love going to the parks. Do you guys want to go? Like, I want to create a group. Could we do like some kind of group? And it was like, I don't know, just the radio silence and then seeing them in the park and getting side eyes. And it's like, why? Like tonight, we were at Epcot and every single person, Disney, non-Disney, every person you've seen on your FYP was there tonight. It was wild. Well, I recognized that guy and the nastiest side eye. And if you look at my video, it's very clear. And it's like, why? It's not even a Disney creator.
Oh, you get crickets here. Yeah, when you reach out to people. I've had times where I've gone to an event and I know for a fact you have either commented on my videos or I've commented on yours.
Yes.
And they will have pretended that
yes.
it was the first time we'd ever
seen
each other. And like, obviously, if it's the first time I'm meeting you in person, obviously I'm still going to go up to you and introduce myself because I don't assume people know who I am. But like,
I never assume.
Yeah. But like pretending you don't.
I'm like, oh my God, wait, what? Like.
Yeah. But pretending you don't even like recognize me is crazy when we've been in each other's comments.
I try to comment on as much as I can because A, it helps you. And B, like just to have someone be like supportive in videos. Why not? I commented my first month on every single Disney creator and of all of the creators in Orlando that I like commented on because I heavily commented my first month, like heavily. I'm talking like over probably 100 creators. And it wasn't like stalking. It was like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, I just moved to Orlando. If you ever want to do something or like really like appreciating their work, but also being like, hey, I just moved here. I'm trying to make friends. I'm gonna freaking Bumble. I was like trying to hype them up. Let's just say I have you two and 2 more friends. And that's fine. Like, I don't want a huge group. And like you said, we all go to the same events and you walk by each other and it's not like a hi or whatever. It's like, death stare and walk by, which is so weird because I commented on your video. So I recognize you. And I know you recognize me because you only had 2 comments on that video and you liked one of them and it wasn't mine. So like,
I know the feeling, trust me. And like, not to say that I'm the first person to walk up to people either when I go to an event, but that's because I'm socially awkward. So I'm so sorry if you've met me in person, but the times that I have gone and like introduced myself, yeah, I've gotten the same reaction. So I know what you're talking about.
And I do get it. Like there were times where I had 100,000 followers or whatever, and I had a series near and dear to my heart, and I saw big creators with like 2 or 3 million copy my series, and I was like, oh my God, they're coming in my territory, and like I got extremely hurt. But I feel like there's a difference between going in on someone's territory of like a series, which it'd be like me going into yours and doing the besties scared series. Like if I just started copying your series for Halloween Horror Nights, you'd be like, hold on, like you're gonna be okay, but we need to figure this out. Whereas I'm just coming into a niche of Disney and Orlando and travel because it's something that makes me happy. And it doesn't mean, oh, I cut the ropes and got ahead. It's just I'm posting a random video.
I feel like we need the backstory of creators making a scene at Epcot.
So basically I was at Epcot tonight and there were, let's say 4 out of probably, I'm not even kidding you, probably 50 to 100 creators there tonight. Like it was like VidCon, but Disney style. I would say like, we'll just put like 5 to 10 creators making a scene.
See, yeah, that's my one thing I don't like about the first day of the festivals. I've definitely been to the festivals before and seen these scenes happening, and it'll be like someone taking up multiple tables so that they can film full YouTube videos and full podcasts. And like, I get the hustle. I understand wanting to get this content and wanting for it to be the best, and you don't want all these like background noises and voices, but Disney is a public place, and we already get so much hate online for going and filming and like taking up space in the parks. And so then when these festivals come around and there's just people going, making it 10 times bigger, it just makes all of us look bad. And I promise you, we are not all like that. Timea and I will go to the festivals and we'll find the tiniest little corner. We'll be like on a bench and trying not to be like loud or obnoxious. But whenever someone just goes and takes up all of this space and makes it everyone's problem that they're filming, it just bothers me so much.
No, and that's one thing. I mean, anytime you mix alcohol with an after hours party, someone's gonna act, loud. But like, that is why I'm working so hard. And I made a video asking cast members, how can we as creators make you feel appreciated? And they all said the photos. That's why I started doing it, because I can't rewrite everyone's story, but I can try to change the narrative that all of us are there making a scene and causing havoc and trouble and cutting lines. And they can be like, oh my gosh, one creator started like recognizing, the cast members, and then who knows who builds off of that. And like, not all of us can rewrite everyone's story, but we can change the narrative in a way that is a little better in our sense.
Yeah, I will say I have found myself when I go up to order food or do something with a cast member or team member at Universal, like I physically am trying to hide my camera because the amount of times I've gone up to team members and cast members with my camera and the immediate like nasty look or like annoyed face, like, oh, here's another one. And then I try my absolute, I'm like, thank you very much. Have the absolute most wonderful day. Like, I promise I'm not going to be a bitch.
Like, how sad is it? I'm type 1. I am really, I have to have my devices. And in the summer, I physically cannot stand in those lines. Like, we had to glucagon myself. And if you're not a diabetic, that is an emergency life-saving medicine because your blood sugar goes too low. We had to glucagon myself at Disney because I didn't qualify for the DAS pass. But if I don't have those accommodations in the summer, I can't survive. I can't go to the parks. I can't do this. And Universal is a lot more accommodating now, but I personally can't bring my camera on days that I want to use the pass because we have such a bad reputation that I know because someone sees that camera, they're going to assume I'm faking it just so I can cut the line. In reality, I'm gonna die. We're gonna have issues. Like you saw, even at Halloween Horror Nights, like with my blood sugars, I was even struggling then. And like the, not embarrassment, but like the guilt I feel when I shouldn't have to feel guilty is like, oh my God, I can't show my camera because they're gonna assume this when you see my devices. But at the same time, like narrative has been made and that's what everyone knows. And that's why I think together, all of us, like, it's going to take time, but I do feel like there is a new wave of Orlando influencers. I've started actually, anytime you guys tag someone on Instagram or TikTok, I purposely follow them because I see that they're upcoming, like Disney people or Universal people, because I feel like there needs to be a new wave of positivity and positive creators. And the way to do that is to band together and cheer each other on. And so I purposely do that so that we can rewrite this whole thing and that people with diabetes don't feel worried about bringing their cameras in.
Well, you can know whoever I'm tagging is definitely a good person.
Saying, like, I feel like we all really, like, I do some research. I go to Reddit. I'm an introvert. So I check Reddit because when you have a kid, I protect his media presence and his peace and everything. And I was texting Timea and I was like, girl, what the hell happened? Like, I went on Reddit. There's a post about me. I made an account. I put my picture on there. I put my name. I verified it. I went and bought them. And then I got banned.
Wait, on the blog snark?
Yes.
What?
I didn't know that you couldn't do that. And I guess it's an unspoken rule. She was like, yeah, it's kind of an unspoken rule. You just don't answer it. No, ma'am. They're talking shit on me. And I'm like bullet pointing their conversations to like 6 paragraphs to like, I'm gonna say this. They like said my diabetes was unmanaged. So I was like, well, you try living with this. Like bullet points. And then she's like, yeah, it's kind of an unspoken rule. So yeah. So in case you're on Reddit,
It's an unspoken rule, but there are creators that have fake accounts on that Reddit thread and are responding back every single time someone posts up about them.
Good. So I'm not alone. Maybe just don't put your photo and your name.
Yeah. So
Yep, nope, make it anon.
just try it again, I guess.
But no, I really try. And I think that's something that like the little Disney community needs is like finding these micro creators and you know, it's hard enough being a micro creator because, I mean, we're even struggling with all of us transferring platforms. Like at some point, we're all micro creators, and giving them a voice to bring that new wave of energy and creators into Orlando.
Yeah, I will say, I know we've talked a lot about the bad creators, but I have met some of the best people at some of
Same.
these events. And they're like the sweetest human beings ever. And we're all just trying to make content. We'll sit there giving each other tips and following each other and liking each other's stuff. So not everyone is bad
No,
out here, but I feel like we just get such a bad rep because the ones who are bad are the
Like
bigger, like
so bad.
super outspoken ones.
no, I've met some of my best friends. I mean, all of my friends I've met on TikTok, and since I've been down here, I definitely have like a core four that, like, obviously you guys, and two of the ones I met, ironically, I met them because one was DJing at an influencer event, and me being me, she was in like this cute little Disney, she literally looked like a Disney princess. And so I took her pictures and then I airdropped them to her because I was like, oh my God, look at these. I've just edited these. Like I stayed and got them to her. And then we became friends. And then there was another event where it was kind of like the Jellycat one I think you went to. I don't know. It was like a Disney event for like jewelry, and just someone in passing, and I recognized them and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't care how many followers you have, like I will watch all content. And this girl had like 5,000 followers, and I was like, I literally watch your page every day to the point where I search it. Like your platform's amazing. And then we became instant friends. So there are really good ones. And I think it's like the way the news world works, because I'm from news, is that the negativity overweighs the positive. And so, yes, the three of us may make a difference, but all it takes is one bad person to put a bad taste in, you know, our little world down here. And then we all have that reputation. But yes, I have met great people. And I think it also goes out to the fact that, like, there are people who are going to comment and hype you up. You just have to find the right ones. And the ones who don't respond or give you the nasty looks or are nasty to you in general, they're just not worth your time. And instead of focusing on that, find the ones that are.
And on that note, that is a great way to end today's podcast. Thank you so much, Maddie, for
Yeah.
coming on and sharing your 2 cents. It was really, really insightful and really, really fun.
Yeah. And I hope we meet some really good creators out here. We'll start getting out again.
And
We'll leave
again,
our
if you
house.
have any tips or if you want to submit any anonymous stories, make sure to DM us or find us on Instagram and TikTok. We have a weekly Memos account now. So you can find us there and you can send us DMs there or to either of our personal ones.
And thanks again for listening, and we will come back next week for even more. We may have another guest, possibly, possibly not. So let us know how you guys like the guest, and I promise we will get better at asking
And if
questions.
you don't like me, just
Yeah, just don't, just scroll.
Just
Listen to
don't-
next week.
don't
Kidding. But thanks, guys.
Bye, besties.
Bye.